Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in. For this lesson, I'll be talking about the Beatles' recording of The Long and Winding Road that they did in January of 1969. The song was the Beatles' final #1 single in America, and it was written by Paul McCartney in September of '68 at his farmhouse in the Mall of Kintyre. And Paul's on record saying, "Sometimes you get a person in your mind and you place it by thinking, oh, I love that Ray Charles, and think, well, what might he do then? So that was in my mind and would have probably had some bearing on the chord structure of it, which is slightly jazzy. I think I could attribute that to having Ray in my mind when I wrote that one. What I tend to do in a song is to put in some kind of analogy, like a long and winding road. I was not particularly trying to put my own feelings into it, but that is often what happens. Don't leave me standing here. You find these lines arrive, and it's to do with your personal situation at the time. You don't always realize it." In September of '68, Paul recorded a not yet finished demo of the song, and he went over it many times at EMI, at Twickenham, and Savile Row with various members of the group from January 3rd to January 24th. But the first time they recorded it seriously, tried to record it actually, was on January 26th. With Paul on piano, George Harrison playing a Gibson J200 through a Leslie cabinet, John on a Fender Bass 6, and he was very unhappy with it being in the key of E-flat, Ringo on drums, and Billy Preston on electric piano. In truth, that January 26th recording was just intended to be a run-through and not really intended to be perfect. So much so that George Martin asked, why is George Harrison playing all the wrong chords? But Glyn Johns recorded that version, and it ended up being his choice for the next album. The Beatles and George Martin all disagreed with Glyn Johns, but Glyn Johns was asked by the Beatles to compile and mix the next album, so there you go. They did more tries on January 27th and 28th, and on January 29th, they actually rehearsed it because they intended to play it live on the rooftop concert, which of course they didn't. And the day after the rooftop concert, January 31st, they recorded again 19 takes, which is known as the naked version. And the difference in that one is that Ringo is doing less tinkering on the cymbals during the verses, and George is now on a Telecaster. And that version appeared in the Let It Be movie. But I'll be dealing with what ended up on the Let It Be album. So in early 1970, Lennon and Harrison asked the Beatles' then manager Alan Klein to turn over the January '69 recordings to American producer Phil Spector. And Phil Spector chose Glyn Johns' January 26th version to overproduce by putting strings, horns, and a choir. And I think that his version is just schmaltzy and bombastic. But on April 1st, 1970, the total paranoid Phil Spector, he did the session. He wanted tape echo on everything. And he took a different pill every half hour, and he had his bodyguard with him constantly. The orchestra, which was conducted by Richard Hewson, became so annoyed by Spector's behavior that the musicians refused to play, and some of them actually left and went home. Nevertheless, Phil got the sessions done, and on April 2nd, he mixed the song. Paul hated the mix and cited it as one of the reasons why he left the group. Paul said, "A few weeks ago, I was sent a remixed version of my song, The Long and Winding Road, with harps, horns, an orchestra, and a woman's choir added. No one had asked me what I thought. I couldn't believe it. I would never have female voices on a Beatles record." The record came with a note from Alan Klein saying he thought the changes were necessary. I don't blame Phil Spector for doing it, but it just goes to show that it's no good me sitting here thinking I'm in control, because obviously I'm not. Anyway, I've sent Alan Klein a letter asking for some things to be altered, but I haven't received an answer yet. And as we all know, that horribly overproduced version was released in May of 1970 on the Let It Be album. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. George Harrison is playing a Gibson J200 on the Long and Winding Road. This is a J160E, and I have it plugged into a Leslie cabinet simulator. A lot of chords to play the song, and even though George doesn't play perfectly with Paul McCartney's piano part, I think George's part is very charming. So to play, there's a lot of chords. On a verse, you'll need an A flat over B flat, an E flat, a straight A flat chord, a G minor seventh, a C minor. You'll need an F minor 7th, a B flat, a B flat minor, an E flat 7th, and I think those are all the chords that'll get you through a verse. So when he first starts, George plays like this. Starts on the end of 1, it's 1. Then the next chord is an A flat, but he plays a little line. He plays. If I go too fast, charts and tabs will make it perfectly clear. You can get those at mikepachelli.com. Verse 2, he plays that A flat over B flat a little different. He plays very short E flat. Then on the A flat, he plays another little line. And this second line goes like this. It goes, all right, very slowly that line. And then he's into the A flat, and he goes, comes up here for this B flat minor. A flat. Now this time on this F minor, you'll hear him play, and he does this quite a bit. Sometimes he'll play an F minor like this and then put the E flat on top. And this time he goes, let's see. And that takes us to the bridge. Now for the bridge, you already have all the chords. It's E flat, it's F minor 7th. It happens again. He throws in a B flat, F minor 7th. Like this, and to C minor to A flat over B flat. I'll just play it for you. Here's the bridge. 3, 4. And then you're to verse 3. On verse 3, there's a little arpeggiating going on. First he plays on the E flat, he plays the chord, and he goes. Then on the A flat, it's 1. You can tell that he plays those A flats all down strokes. And then there's another little lick. He goes like this. He goes, it's a different one. He plays. So I'll do that first 4 measures of verse 3 nice and slow. 3, 4. Continuing on with an F minor. B7. Now he plays this, I'm sorry, B flat 7. He plays it like this. To B flat minor up here. First time I think he plays that G minor with the F on top. To C minor. Now he's using that B flat 7 again to get a 9th sound. He goes. Picking up your pinky. So let me see if I can do that whole verse 3. 3, 4. And that takes us to the solo. So on the solo, no different chords, just maybe some different usage. A solo he plays like this. 3, 4. You know, only minor differences like on the F minor where he goes. Some little trick you can use if you like. Not really a trick. And then to verse 4, there's a couple of definite George searching around for things. Because on the second chord, first he plays the E flat. Then he plays the E flat over D flat. And then a new line. So the beginning of verse 4 is like this. I think he probably finger picks it. I think he goes probably something like that. And then he plays yet another line over an A flat. He plays 1. Show you that line slow. 1. Then continue with the A flat. To the F minor. Very strong 16th notes with the accent on the downbeats. A flat. Now, really cool crescendo here. Very soft on the F sharp, F minor, like, then very strong on the B flat. Now, this last kick, he plays what I'll call a F minor 11th, because it's just all first string, 1, and then it hits a low B flat note, ends like that. So the whole verse 4 to the ending would be like this. 3, 4. Charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com will make it clearer than I could say it or play it, but that's what George did on acoustic. I've put it together in a sound-alike, and I've used George's acoustic part that he played on the album, but I simplified the Ringo part. I did the naked Ringo part where he's just playing the hi-hat on the verses, and then I used a little strings on the solo and a little bit on the end. So have a look at this. The long and winding road that leads to your door will never disappear. I've seen that road before. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. And I think now you can see the simplicity of the song and how beautiful it is. And George's part accents what Paul's doing on piano. I suggest you download the charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com. Learn George's part, play along with my sound like, and you'll get it just like the record. And I really appreciate your consideration in supporting my work that way. So have fun playing this great old song. And until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.